speak the language. Bring students to the new generation of America.
Our senses and our minds will respond to moderate stimulation.
This episode is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. Mountain Glass now has their December sales running from now until the end of December 2015. You can now get borosilicate AccuGrind joints for 15% off by putting in code AccuGrind. That's ACCUGRIND at checkout. And they also have their Soft Glass COE 104 sale, jewelry making essentials for 25% off. Just put in the word jewelry at checkout. That's JEWELRY. Just go to mountainglass.com for more information. And this show is also brought to you by Green Flash Glass. And Green Flash Glass is now offering 10% off all sales from now through the end of December 2015. If you are a wholesaler, retail store, get a hold of them through their website at greenflashglass.com. Give them a phone call and place your order. That is greenflashglass.com. And all sales are always free shipping that are $1,000 or more. And now on with the show. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 65. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm here to bring you lots of knowledge and inspiration and education and fun stuff. And today we are talking about mother effing taxes, which I hate. But you know what? If we start planning now, it's going to make our life way easier. So welcome to the show about taxes. So what I'm going to start off by saying is go get an accountant. If you guys don't have an accountant, go on Google, look it up. Look for local business accountant. Your local accountant will help you in the end, save you a shit ton of money, will give you pointers and tips to get organized, which I'm going to be doing today as well, and will help you find areas in your business that you didn't even think about that you could use for tax write-offs and deductions. It's amazing when you have a professional that is out there that can help you and hold your hand as we go through this process of dealing with the IRS and filing taxes. Now, as in previous episodes, I have recommended and still do to this day, and it's one of the things that I have not done this year, which I started to do, but I fell off track, and I'm going to be penalized for it, which sucks, but I had not paid my quarterly taxes like I wanted to this year. But next year, I will be on track, and it's going to be very, very beneficial in the end. I'm not going to get into details about all that shit on this episode, but I am going to be giving you guys 3 areas to start to prep for getting your taxes all organized, so when you do go see your accountant, you're not going to have a gigantic fucking bill that your accountant's going to charge you. If you have all your paperwork organized, your numbers done, everything just ready to go, and you have a folder that says 2015 business, blah, 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 and you hand it to your accountant, he or her, or him or her, or she or him, or whoever your accountant is, will be very thankful, and also will not charge you an arm and a leg to do your taxes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like paying my fucking taxes. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do like paying taxes because we have to pay taxes for firefighters and paramedics and police officers and for all that kind of shit. I hate paying taxes because our money is fucking spent on stupid shit, but that's a whole other topic for another day, for another podcast on a different channel. Today, we are going to be covering 3 areas that we are going to need to implement to get organized. So, area number 1 is getting all of our inventory of raw materials in check. And what I mean by that is, for those of you out there that have a shit ton of glass raw material in your studio, whether it's color or clear or frits or powders or whatever, it's very going to be beneficial for you to, right now, through this next 3 weeks, take your time and do it, but go through and count all your inventory. If you have, say, 25 cases of clear of all different sizes or similar sizes, get a piece of paper, tape it to the top of the box, and count how many rods of glass you have in there, how much each rod costs you, and then keep track of it. If you have a case of glass that's got 25 rods in it and each rod costs you $1.25, just at the top of that piece of paper, write, say, Cymax 10 mil, 1 rod equals $1.25. and then underneath that, write down how many you have. And then every time you pull a rod out, get in the habit of crossing the number out and writing down a new number. Or even just putting a little mark down on the paper, so then you can count those marks and you'll know how many you've taken out, instead of having to go through and count rods. Because I don't know about you all, but I always tend to slice my fingers trying to count my fucking glass. It sucks. And also, it's going to make it way easier for you so that by the end of the year, you're not having to go through and count all your raw materials. Now, the reason that you want to do this and that you have to do this is because whatever you have left over that you did not use will go to your inventory for 2016. And what that means is the stuff that you have used is considered material that's been used for production, which is a tax deduction. So therefore, you should be keeping track of everything that you use. Keep track of all your invoices, all of your shit that you buy. If you go to your local hole-in-the-wall glass supply place and you pay cash, get a fucking receipt from them. Require that they give you a receipt. And if they don't want to give you a receipt, tell them that you cannot do business with them anymore because of it. No matter how convenient it is for you, it's going to cost you in the end because you don't have proof that you bought the stuff. And also on their end, they could just be being shady. I mean, I'm not going to say who they are, but you never know. I've got a local guy that has the cheapest propane in town, and I don't get propane from him because he doesn't give receipts. I go through a lot of fucking propane, and I'm not going to go spend thousands of dollars annually on this dude because he will not give me a receipt. So do that. Go through, count all your shit, write it down, keep track of it, and then mark it off as you use it. And then at the end of the year, you'll have an estimated number of what you have in stock, and that number will then transfer into 2016. The second thing you want to do is, which I hope you guys have been doing, is keeping track of all your waste. In previous episodes, I always discuss the idea of weighing out your bucket empty, writing that number down of how much your knockoff bucket weighs, and write it down somewhere visible on a piece of paper, and then every week or every 2 weeks or every month, write down how much you're throwing away. Weigh that shit out. And then use a ratio of 80 to 20%. Now, that's what my ratio is. You might be using more color than I do. I don't use a whole lot of color. So my percentage average is 80% clear to 20% color. So say every month I've got 25 pounds of garbage I'm throwing away, which fucking sucks. I still know that 25 pounds of raw material, 80% of it's clear and 20% of it's color. If you have an average cost of $1.25 as a rough number of what clear costs per pound, you know that 80% of that 25 pounds is going to cost $1.25 times 80% of 25 pounds. If you know that your average color is $65 a pound, you know that you have 20% of 25 pounds of color, or 25 pounds of scrap at $65 a pound. Do the math. It's going to make your life way easier. And if you keep track of it every month, like you should be, when it comes to your end of your December, which is the end of the fiscal 2015 year, you will then just have to plug in this month and your life's going to be a lot easier. You're going to have to stress about it. Number 3 is your mileage. Keep track of your mileage. Whether you're driving to a store to drop off an order, you're going to pick up oxygen supplies, or you're going to drive somewhere or fly somewhere to take a class. Keep track of that shit. If you don't keep track of it, you're just wasting your time, and you're also going to be costing yourself more money in the end because, again, mileage is a tax deduction. So is depreciation on your vehicle when you use it for those specific cases. Now, if you haven't been keeping track of your stuff, just plug in whatever shops you go to into your Google Maps, and you can get the distance from your locale, whether it's your house or your studio, to that shop, and make sure that you just times it by 2 as a round trip, and then keep track of that shit. If you go through your invoice books, and hopefully you're keeping an invoice book, whether it's a handwritten invoice book or you're using some kind of cloud accounting of some sort, keep track of it and keep track of the shops you go to, and you'll know specifically on what month and what day you went to that shop, and then you can just plug in the shit in the Google Maps number that you figured out. So say you're driving to Joe Blow McGillicuddy Smoke Shop, it's a 25-mile round trip, you know that you went in March of 2015, you know, that month you went there 4 times. Now you have a 100-mile round trip that you can write off as a deduction on taxes. Now, my accountant has recommended in the past that you keep track, that I keep track of my mileage and not keep track of the gas that I've purchased, because you get a bigger deduction on mileage compared to gas prices. especially now that gas has gone down so much. Last year, 2 years ago, when gas was close to $5 a gallon, you got more of a tax break on it, so it was actually better to use the gas that you spent. But now you don't. You just use mileage. You get a better ratio and better percentage. So think about it. It's just going to make your life way easier. If you can organize it now and spend the next 3 weeks, little by little, amongst the craziness of the Christmas time, as we all know, it's just fucking crazy, it's going to make tax season a lot more affordable and a lot more less stressful. That makes no sense. A lot more less stressful. That makes no sense. But you know what I'm saying, guys and gals. Help yourself, help you. Help yourself, help your accountant as well. So the 3 things you want to cover: inventory in your shop, all your raw materials, break it down to categories. You have clear and you have color. You have rods and tubes. You have rods and color. You have Fritz powders, etc. Keep track of all that shit. Keep track of your crushed opals. Keep track of your opals that you have. If you've purchased millis, all that stuff that you've purchased that you're using to manufacture your goods is a tax deduction if you're using it. If you're not using it, you need to keep track of what you have left over and carry that number into next year, which will then be a tax write-off for next year, because obviously you're going to be using that material for production for next year. Number 2 is keep track every month of how much shit you throw away. Again, I use an 80-20 ratio, 80% clear, 20% color. I figured an average cost of clear is about $1.25 a pound. I figured an average cost of color is $65 a pound. So I do the math. And number 3 is keep track of your mileage. Keep track of your mileage. If you're not keeping track of your mileage, again, use Google Maps. It's the best tool you can use to figure out what your round trip is back and forth. If you fly somewhere or you go out of town, say to like a trade show, all your hotel expenses, your costs for your booth, anything you needed to purchase for that show, whether it was your table, your cloth, any materials, business cards, all that shit is tax deductions. But we're going to get into more of that later in other episodes as we get closer to the end of the year, because I'm bringing my accountant and her assistant on to do a roundtable discussion of the areas that we will definitely need to cover as artists. Last year when her and I sat down, there were areas that she didn't even realize that were able to be covered. Areas I didn't even need to know. And I was excited that she learned some new stuff. So we're going to be discussing all this shit. So again, go get an accountant. Local accountant, small business. Don't go to the big box stores that are doing taxes. You're going to end up paying more in the long run because they don't give a fuck. And I'm telling you, they don't. They will charge you out the ass for you to go there and do your taxes. Whether it's some small hole-in-the-wall place that you see Lady Liberty and frickin' Uncle Sam standing on the corner waving their signs, or you go to the big green building with the white letters saying, come here and file your taxes. Even using the online stuff, the TurboTaxes and stuff. There's so many areas that you guys will be blown away that you forgot about and didn't realize that you could use for a tax deduction. And as we all know, we don't want to pay as much all these taxes. We want to pay taxes, but we want to get away with paying as little bit as possible. So, do your math, be prepared, get organized, and I love you all. I hope you take this to heart and really do this because this is huge. One more thing I do want to say is that, again, as I've said in the past couple of previous episodes, because of my website guy being MIA, I have taken the website over, and I'm going to be little by little getting it back on track. But in the meantime, if you haven't yet and you need to, go subscribe to the website, to our newsletter, because I will be sending out on this next newsletter, there'll be a PDF download that will be a checklist of all the areas that you're going to want to cover for your taxes this year. And there'll be some blank lines in there because everybody has individual cases with you having unique ideas and things you purchased that may not be on there. That'll be tax write-off. So go subscribe to www.wiseguyradio.com. That's WYZGUY radio.com. Go to the bottom of the page, subscribe, confirm the email, make sure you guys get our newsletter, and from there you get this PDF download, print out 12 of them, one for each month, and keep track of your shit because, again, in the long run, it's going to save you a crap ton of money. And all that money that you save, You can then go out and buy a fucking delicious beer, take your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your cat, your dog, whatever you have at your house, out for a yummy meal as a celebration that you didn't have to pay the man, Uncle Sam, a shit ton of taxes. I don't know, that's kind of stupid, but whatever. It's been a long day. I'm on the road heading home from Disney. Long day at Disney. Long, fun day at Disney. So, anyways, again, I love you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. It's a quick episode. 3 areas to get prepared now for tax season. Inventory, scraps of glass, and your mileage. You all be good, be safe, happy melting, happy Hanukkah to all my Hanukkah Jewish friends out there. Merry Christmas to all my other people that celebrate Christmas. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. Love you all. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please go to iTunes and subscribe. If you guys want to help out the show, one way you can help out the show is by sharing it with your friends and family. If people are questioning what you do for a living or second guess that you are a glass artist and say, you cannot be successful as a glass artist. You are wasting your time. Say, hey, look here, dickhead. This dude's got a podcast. He's talking about all the shit that we can do to be successful. Listen to it. Listen to these stories. Because we all have failures, but we also all have a shit ton of successes. And the successes are what keep us going forward. Be successful, whether it's monetarily, whether it's as a human being, doing good things in life, helping other people out, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So again, I love you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm going to get off this here, otherwise I will ramble and ramble and ramble. All right. Take it easy. Peace. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.